The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim is possibly the most modified game in history, and because of that, it's still receiving mods to this day. And that's why we're going to be taking a look at the mods I found most interesting, at least 10 of the ones I found most interesting, of April 2021. First, we're going to be looking at a player home over in the Rift called Heartwood Castle. It's described as a lore-friendly and highly defensible player home in the Rift, which is medium-sized, family and follower-friendly, with crafting stations, generous numbers of planters, named storage, guards, and other staff, and mannequins with weapon displays, all that, etc. You know the drill with these player homes. I found it to be incredibly well built. I really enjoy the courtyard. All of the little set pieces and the small details of the courtyard especially look great. There is a lot of things going on the inside as well. The player home overall looks like something you would find in Skyrim. It looks like something you'd find in the Elder Scrolls universe. It's big, it's nice, and honestly, it's a place I could see myself putting into my main game, putting into most of my playthroughs, and actually using as a player home. It's very well made and something that I recommend. Moving on, we have another player home, and it's a beautiful player home, Pinewood Cottage. It is described as a beautiful cottage sitting on the waterfalls of Riverwood overlooking Whiterun, and they are 100% correct with that description. The outside of the cottage is simply breathtaking. It sits right in front of the waterfall, and above the waterfall you have these lily pads, you have these water plants that are going on, and you also have the windmill farm set up with the whole scene, the whole excellent, it's almost like a painting that you would see with this Pinewood Cottage, and the outside itself looks amazing. The interior hosts a lot of tight-knit corners and really small spaces that make it look super lived in, with a bunch of objects and little small details all littered around the inside of the cottage. It really gives that lived-in feel, and again, I really like the small tight areas, the lived in looking small areas where you can really get a feel of this place being a home inside the game. It pulls it off wonderfully, and this is another player home that I'm going to suggest highly. The next mod we're looking at is like a small details and immersion mod. This is going to be Horses Gone Wild. It adds different groups of wild horses out into Skyrim where you're going to be able to encounter them. It makes the whole world seem a little bit more immersive when you have these wild horses out there, and it's not just, owned horses that you're seeing out and about. You can actually find, more and more of these wild horses. Some people like these types of immersion mods, and even with more mods, you'd be able to tame these horses, ride them yourself, things of that nature. So I know that a lot of people would enjoy something like that, and I found it to be interesting because I like small detail mods, and so adding little herds of horses would be nice because you can see them roaming in the distance and makes the game feel that much more majestic and open. The next mod that we're looking at adds a new creature to the game, which is a behemoth, and this is going to be for the Prehistoric content series. Now, this mod in particular has a ton of lore behind it that I highly suggest you check out. All of the links for these mods, as always, will be in the description below, but the mod author has put an incredible amount of time in telling a backstory for these things and talking about the lore behind these things and fitting them into the actual lore of Skyrim. They do fit into the actual lore of the Elder Scrolls, so it's something you should look at. When it comes to the mod and these things being in game, they truly are awe-inspiring when you see them. They're enormous. They're way bigger than you think they're going to be. Well, I guess you can see them in the video, but when you see them when you're playing in your own game, it is really quite striking. You're like, oh my goodness. And if you try to fight them, especially close range, you're just going to get smashed. I don't know, even if you were just a super tank character and you knew what you were, just had everything buffed out, they knock you like 100 feet back. It's insane. But seeing something like this roam the plains of Skyrim is phenomenal, and I like mods like this, so I wanted to throw the behemoths into this video. Up next, we have JK's Palace of the Kings overhaul mod. This thing overhauls Palace of the Kings. It's pretty self-explanatory, and it really does a good job of doing so. It really makes it look like a Palace of the Kings, as opposed to just kind of like a drab, boring room that you find it in vanilla. I found this to really fill out the area. It did a tremendous job adding little, I'm a big fan of the little details. I'm a big fan of the small things making the bigger picture, and JK knocks it out of the park with this. And it's truly phenomenal, and it's just just small bits of work getting put into something like this that can really make a room look that much better in game. This is an example of that, and JK has a ton of these overhauls, especially for this area, that truly make things look tremendously better, and I suggest checking all of them out, but this is the one I wanted to showcase the most just because I think the transformation is so dramatic and so much better than vanilla, just adding these things into the room. So definitely check out JK's Palace of the Kings mod. I was not disappointed. Now we're looking at the Pet the Dog animations mod. This is a mod that lets you pet dogs in the Skyrim world, and I couldn't agree more with the mod author. They're saying they couldn't believe that it was the year 2021 of our Lord, and you still of our Lord Talus rather, which they are correct, and still couldn't pet dogs in Skyrim, and they say no more. I agree with them. So this does exactly what you would expect it to do. It lets you pet dogs. It's nice. It still has some work to be done for sure, but if you're facing the dog head on and you want to give it a pet, you certainly can. And it's nice. I mean, who doesn't want to pet some dogs in their game? Next up, we have Fort Dawnguard HD, and this retextures Fort Dawnguard. And they have a variety of different sizes for you, 8K, 4K, 2K, 1K, and even at 2K, this looks great. It is a phenomenal retexture from the vanilla version of Fort Dawnguard, and again, if you are a person who enjoys the small details, you like small little things looking much better in your game to create that bigger picture, this is something that I recommend. I always go for retextures, especially if I like the style. I like the style a lot. I love retexturing the Bethesda games and making them look even better than they did before. This will help out with that. Now we're looking at Reforging to the Masses. This is a weapons expansion, and it adds over 300 vanilla-friendly weapons to the game. And what's cool about this is it still uses vanilla textures, so if you have like texture mods on that will change the way weapons look, the textures will carry over to that as well. So it's really nice because you can just throw them in there like that. This is a mod that at this point I would recommend just throwing into your game every time you start, because it's going to give you that many more weapon choices, and you can really play around with different types of things. It makes your game feel that much more, open and unique by having all these different types of weapons in them. And another good thing about this is they are shaped and they look completely different than a lot of the things that you're finding in game already. So it really does truly feel like you're adding just hundreds of new weapons to your game. So this is going to be a must-have, I think, for me moving forward. The Reforging mod is going in my must-have list. Now we're looking at Rowley's Shaggy Cows of Skyrim. This is going to be a mod that retextures the cows to look more like Highland cows. And I thought it was a fun addition to Skyrim, and they actually look right for the game series. They look like they belong here. They look, dare I say, better than the vanilla cows. So it's something that I wanted to add to the game and I thought was interesting. Again, these are all mods from just being released in April. In this series, I cover mods from the past month and talk about, the newer mods like that, and this is one of them, and I think that it looks very nice. They did a terrific job retexturing these cows, and I recommend it. And rounding off the list, we are looking at Minotaurs for Skyrim. This is going to be a mod that adds Minotaurs as an enemy, and a lot of them hang out near the Falkreath area, if you're wondering about that. And they're a pretty powerful enemy, but it's also something that we've seen in Elder Scrolls before, and it's nice to see them in Skyrim. This is a very intimidating enemy. A Minotaur has always been intimidating to me. Something about it just freaks me out. So they're fun for me to add into the game because I feel genuine fear when I see them. So there we go. And I recommend the same to you if you're into that kind of thing, or if you want that kind of like classic Elder Scrolls vibe where you'd see some Minotaurs running around. Throw these guys in there. There's also some other things that go along with this mod that again, I want you to check out the mods for yourself, so you should check that out. But the Minotaurs themselves look great, and they're pretty worthy in combat as well. That's going to round off my list of the mods I found most interesting in April 2021. But I do have one hell of a bonus for you, quite possibly my favorite of the mods listed in this video, so let me hit you with that. The bonus is going to be Immersive Fat Idiot Son. This is going to be your useless, fat, stupid disappointment of a son that will follow you around causing trouble, bringing a new level of realism, depth, and challenge to the Skyrim parenting experience. This is one of the funniest mods I've ever played with. I highly recommend it if you're looking for some comic relief in your Skyrim. He's a terrible companion. He won't do much in combat except make you laugh. And for that, I say you should definitely check it out. Rufus, the Fat Idiot Son, completely immersive, and believe me, I don't think you're going to regret having him along for the laughs alone. But that's really going to wrap up our video on the Skyrim most interesting mods of April 2021. I want to thank you for checking it out. I want to thank my patrons and YouTube channel members, but a special thanks to my biggest supporters: Ian Rowley, Popo Hum, Adam Souza, Fireflare, JP Rivera, Primark Mustard, Zero Soder, Thomas, Billy Joe Jimbob, Daniel Atalano, Marcus Jacobstown, Legendary Angel 94, Spencer Webb, Techie, Ruben Atwood, Phil Starsick, Bill Scott Sheets, and Edgy. Thank you guys so much. I couldn't do it without you. I hope to catch you on the next one. It has been Mantis.
I gotta testify. Come up in the spot looking extra fly. For the day you die, you gon' touch the sky. You gon' touch the sky, baby girl. Testify. Come up in the spot looking extra fly. For the day you die, you gon'